Good afternoon, and welcome to the afternoon session of the Landmarks Preservation Commission's public hearing and public meeting for January 27th, 2026. We are resuming with public hearing item number 6, and I will turn it over to our Director of Preservation, Corey.
Thank you. Public hearing item number 6 is LPC 26-04957. An application for a certificate of appropriateness in the borough of Manhattan, block 519, lot 17. 44 King Street in the Charles and Historic District. This is a Greek revival style row house built in 1840, and the application is to modify masonry opening at the rear facade.
Commissioners, the applicants have entered the hearing via Zoom. Rex, you now have control of the presentation. You just need to click on your screen. Go ahead and click on your screen. Rex, can you hear us? Okay, Rex, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Okay. Now
Okay,
I'm
great.
unmuted.
Rex, can you go ahead and click on your screen? There you go. And then you can advance the slides. Perfect.
Okay.
Please state your name for the record and you may begin.
Sorry about that. I had like 5 screens that all had the same picture. Okay. So this is a pretty simple request, and that is to enlarge windows on the back wall.
Please go ahead and state your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Rick Lawler. I'm an architect, and I'm working on behalf of Tina Dominique, who is the co-op owner of the.
Can you please get your audio? Yes. Oddly.
Can you hear us?
Now we can.
Okay. Okay.
So Rex, why don't you go ahead and use your arrow keys, and that way, instead of your mouse, and that way, you can flip through the slides as you wish.
Okay. If I saw the arrow keys, I would use them. Sorry, I don't have any arrow keys showing.
I meant on your keyboard, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I never use the keyboard. That's okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this is the aerial view, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this block. It has been a landmark designated area since 1966. So this is the back of the property in question, and the block. And this is the 1940 original photo, and currently this is approved to have all the windows changed to, and that's been approved, and they're all going to be divided lights and existing masonry openings. This is the back of the structure. Sorry. Trying to use arrows and it's not really. Okay. Now this is the current, it is current right now, except that this, it had all the paint has been removed from the facade under previous approvals for this building. There's no, the air conditioners have been gone. The windows are going to be replaced. It's all been previously approved. And the current state of the back of the building. This is the view from the back and a close-up of the upper windows. Okay, so this is the proposition. Now, the scope below the third floor has been previously presented and I think approved. So we are only concerned with the top floor. And currently, they're very short windows that we would like to enlarge. We're keeping the width of the masonry openings the same and extending them down about 1'3". We're also putting in approved windows that have been approved by sort of roadly approved, not roadly is the wrong word, but have been previously approved by LPC for wood replacement windows. And we are proposing divided lights to be similar to what's been approved down below. And here's the proposition, and you can see the size of the windows. The existing window height is 60, and we want to go to 75 inches. Width stays the same with true divided lights. We're using insulated glass, and this gives you the idea of the profile of the frames. It's very similar to existing, and a plan view. And just a note about the other buildings in the same block. And many of these buildings have had their windows enlarged, the top floor, and this is certainly done while this was a landmark designated area. Gives you just more views of the back. This is, you can see 44 is ours and 42 next door. I think that building's been expanded backwards and windows enlarged. And of course, there's a huge apartment building to the west. And looking across, you can see there's been many modifications to the buildings. 27, 31, 33, and 35 have all had their windows enlarged on the top floor. So I think that's it, but I'm obviously open to questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum, did you have a question?
Yeah, do we know if the window enlargements that are shown in this photo were approved by the commission?
I think they needed to be, because this has been a designated area since 1966, and I can't believe these were done before that.
Okay.
You'll be hanging around here for a while.
That doesn't have to answer to that question. Certainly not uncommon to have these altered long ago, and similarly, the commission has reviewed and approved these. Not always, but on certain occasions, situations where the row has been interrupted, or it's not really a row; it's just buildings built at different times or whatever.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
So the rules that have been done, and there's been a rule.
That's right.
It's a good practice. The commission approaches these. It's not a rule, because rules are in the rule, are Title 63. So it's people come here and we have a practice and a viewing things and standards, and so. But the standards deal with different conditions. That's right. Different condition. No. No question.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Noting that there's no one in the room to testify for public testimony, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen Hoffman, see if we have any remote.
Those joining by Zoom who wish to use the raise hand function after the members of the panelists. We ask you to state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Emma Bartley will be the first speaker.
Sorry, who were you asking to speak?
Emma Bartley.
Hi, my name is Emma Bartley and I'm speaking on behalf of the Historic Districts Council. Given that this historic district contains some of the oldest buildings in New York City, HDC just strongly advises caution in modifying the masonry of the top floor as it can damage the historic brickwork. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing now on the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommend approval.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to respond to the comment?
The brickwork. Yeah, I would say, sorry, I kept hearing my own voice. I would say the brickwork is very simple on this. There's no ornamental brick, and we would replicate the sill bricks exactly as they are now. And I think it's going to be very hard to differentiate our new work from existing.
Thank you. Commissioner, any final questions? Okay, let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Chu, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Jefferson, would you second that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you like to start this discussion?
Yeah. Well, I know this donut well because my office overlooked it for 12 years. I think this is fine. The window will fit in, it gives them more light and is not visible, so I have no issues with it.
Thank you, Commissioner Knight.
Looks good. No issues, very straightforward.
Thank you, Commissioner Chen,
I agree.
Commissioner Brooklyn.
Agree.
And Commissioner Jefferson. And Commissioner Chen.
Reed, I just want to say one thing, and it's because there's no continuous rear facade, there's no context to see a continuity of the elevation. Therefore, yes, it's appropriate.
Yeah. With regard, excuse me. With regards to LPC 26-04957, 44 King Street, Charlton King, Van Dam Historic District. A Greek Revival style row house built in 1840, application is to modify masonry openings at the rear facade. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Charlton King Van Dam Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features, that the proposed work will not be visible from any public thoroughfare, that the proposed enlargement of the masonry openings will only require removing plain brickwork and lowering the sills, retaining the historic width and placement of these top floor openings, that the rear facade and other houses in the rows have been modified over time. Therefore, the proposed work does not disrupt an intact fenestration pattern at the row, and the proposed work will not diminish the special architectural and historic character of the buildings of the Charlton King Van Dam Historic District.
Thank you. Commissioner Mayen, would you second that motion?
So second.
Thank you. And Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen, Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum. Aye. Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
7 in favor and none opposed, the motion passes.
That's been approved. Now let's move to the next item.
Next item is public hearing item number 7. LPC 26-06203. Application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, block 613, lot 20, 230 West 11th Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District. This is an Italianate style row house built in 1860. The application is to replace windows, construct rooftop and rear yard additions, and alter the rear facade.
Right? Getting used to this whole setup. Are we ready to start? Okay, thanks. Good afternoon. I also have a new vision situation, so I'm getting used to that. I had eye surgery, so it's all good, and so this is a great day. My name is Jonathan Taylor with the Space Partners Preservation Consultants. I'm here with Ian Starling of Starling Architecture to be presenting together 230 West 11th Street. You can go to not the next slide, but the one after. With the, you all can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 230 West 11th Street is in the Greenwich Village Historic District. It's an 1860 Italianate house on the south side of 11th Street between Waverly and I'm blanking on the other street. I do want to mention the commission made a conditional approval for this property in 2024 with some of the same types of work proposed. The house has a new owner, and so we're bringing forward a new design that's a different design, but also reduces certain impacts significantly. So when we summarize at the end, I'll kind of make a few comments about how this relates to what the commission had in 2024, but we'll just be presenting this proposal in its own way. But yeah. Next slide, please. A few historic photos, 1930 photo at the left, 1940 tax photo, and the designation photo from 1965. The house was not built, is not part of a row. It sits between a pair of Greek revival houses to the east and a large church to the west. Historic facade is largely intact, but the brownstone trim at the front has been shaved back, before designation. Next slide, please. Some historic block plans. You can see by the turn of the 20th century, the block had been sort of effectively bisected by the church and by some large, deep industrial buildings on the other side of the block. But there's still a donut on our side of the block, in which almost all the houses have historically had 1 or 2 story rear additions. Next slide, please. This is the current block plan or half block plan of our half of the block, just showing the heights of the buildings around the block. And again, almost all except for one of the other houses on the block had rear 1 or 2 story additions, all of which are deeper than the one at 230, including those right adjacent to it, which are just slightly deeper than ours. Next slide. A few existing photos. These are views on each side on 11th Street. These pictures are from later in the summer, so there's still foliage, but we'll be looking at mock-up photos later in the presentation that are show the views without leaves. Next slide, please. Views of the rear facade. So the existing 2-story addition is a modern design and construction, a sort of 2-part configuration with kind of a solarium portion on the left, and then a brick clad on the right. At the top of the brick extension is a terrace, and it's a tall parapet wall, so that kind of gives it this sort of extra solid height. And behind that, you can't see that here, but one of the 2nd-story windows had a sill drop to be a door opening onto that terrace. And then you can see the large church to the west there. Next slide, please. Just a couple of details of the rear facade. Top floor windows are significantly shorter than the other windows on the facade. Part of the proposal, as we'll see, is to modestly increase the height of those windows. And you can also see at the lower right, that's a detail of the brickwork, the brick above the sort of greenhouse part of the addition, which seems to be newer brick matching the brick on the new extension. So it looks like perhaps there used to be what was there before was a bit taller, and the brick was replaced there when it was removed. Next slide. This is a context view looking to the immediate house neighbors to the east. And as you can see, there's some variety across the tops of the rears. As I said, 230 was not part of a row. And so next door, all of the other top floor windows are taller, and they're varied somewhat between the three. And there's some additional variation from modifications, including right next door, one of the top floor windows had a sill drop to become a door onto a little balcony. There's a historic addition 2 doors down, so the roof line goes up to another floor there. And you can sort of make out that the addition next door is about 1 brick length deeper than ours. And you can also see that added sort of solid height to the existing addition on 230 because of that parapet around the terrace. Slide, please. Just a couple of views into the block interior from the house. Again, directly behind are a couple of large, deep buildings that go back to their lot line, the church there to the right. And then there's also a back building also in the block. But as you can see, a significant green space as well. The next slide, please. Existing views of the roof. It's a sloped roof. These are looking front and back. There's a skylight up there right now. Next slide, please. And then views east and west. To the west again is that large church. To the east, there's a approved, I believe staff level approved roof deck and a stair bulkhead on the top of our neighbor. Next slide, thanks. And I'll just summarize the areas of work before you go through the details. So next slide is just some aerial views of the existing to correspond next slide with these proposed axonometric views looking from the front and back. So at the left, looking at the front, you can see a rooftop addition, 1-story rooftop addition designed to be very minimally visible from the street. And in association with that, some chimney extensions, one of which is also partially visible from the street, but in a very typical way for the district. It's also noted on here there will be a facade restoration, including recreation of the brownstone details around the windows, as well as window replacement, wood windows that will meet staff level rules. So I think this was calendared as having wood primary facade window replacement because at one point we were proposing a different material, but that's no longer the case. And then looking from the rear, basically a reconstruction of the 2-story rear extension, keeping that similar sort of bifurcated configuration, sort of a new version of the kind of greenhouse structure, this time with a sort of a barrel vault, and then replacing that brick bass with a portion that's framed in limestone with steel and glass infill. At the level above, dropping the sills of the other 2 windows on the 2nd floor, so they also open out to the terrace or adjoining balcony. As I mentioned, a modest increase in the height of the 3rd floor windows by raising their heads, and that actually involves reconstructing the brick facade, the rear brick facade, the top of it at a slightly higher height, reconstructing it in kind, matching the existing brick cornice. And using salvage brick, obviously a little new brick will be required because of the additional height. And above that, I mean, I should mention that the roof, the sloped roof, in conjunction with the addition is being leveled, but the slightly higher roof level is set back from the rear facade above that reconstructed facade. And I'll just go back one to, and just again to speak about the windows. I think as you'll see, the added height of the windows is still will be at a height that's very typical of row houses. Still not as high as the other top floors on the block, which themselves do not form any kind of unified pattern. So I'll let Ian go through the pieces one by one.
Next slide, please.
Could you state your name?
Oh, yes. I'm Ian Starling, principal of Starling Architecture. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity to present to you guys. So yeah, thanks, Jonathan. I'm going to go into further detail on the existing elements, on each element, kind of comparing the existing condition to sort of the design. This is a comparison of the elevations existing on the left, proposed on the right. You can see sort of all of the items here that we're proposing on this side of the house, including sort of the restoration of the brownstone front facade, and then the rooftop penthouse visible on this side, clad in stone with a glass bay window at the front, and mechanical equipment that's almost not visible in this elevation, and a screening element that's not visible from the street. Next, please. This is the rear elevation, showing sort of proposed condition on the left, proposed condition on the right, existing condition on the left. You know, as Jonathan mentioned, in the rear extension, we are kind of maintaining the existing sort of partie with a sort of a barrel vaulted enclosed solarium area on the left side of the extension, and kind of like a more massive stone clad glass and steel extension on the right. You can see sort of all the sills on the second floor windows have been dropped to the floor, basically the floor level. And as Jonathan mentioned, the cornice has been raised on the third floor, and the windows on that floor have been increased in height by 1'3" to match the scale of the windows in the front, and to also just improve the interior experience, so that the windows feel they're through lines in the plan, and so that the windows feel proportional to the interior rooms. Above that, you can see our increased roof deck level, which is kind of a setback from the cornice, so that the cornice remains generally like 11 inches higher, because in the existing condition, even though the roof is a bit higher than that. And then the roof penthouse material is similar to the extension, with stone, glass, and steel. Next slide, please. Existing section of the building, showing the pitched roof and the existing rear extension. Next slide. This shows basically all of our kind of like additional scope items in sort of the new section of the building, showing the penthouse, mechanicals, mechanical screen level, roof deck, and the increased window heights in the rear. Going up on the third floor, coming down on the second floor, and then the sort of configuration of the extension on the back. Next, cross section through the building, showing how the section has changed. Next, then diving into sort of the plan of the roof. Existing plan on the left, proposed plan on the right, showing the penthouse with a bay, mechanical space front, and then the deck occupied with that. Next, elevations of that space, showing the front and rear. Next, detail sections showing sort of the existing condition, proposed condition, and how we are raising the window head height by 1'3" and extending the cornice, the parapet wall, and guardrail or setback from the historic facade sort of demarcate sort of the difference there. Next, details of the penthouse rear facade. Next, please. And then this is going down to the rear extension of the garden level plan, basement level plan. The sort of like more massive part of the extension is at the same plane is the existing extension. And then the barrel vaulted condition with the stair on the left side of our proposed plan is projecting 2 feet from the facade. So that's different than existing condition. Next. Elevation.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you very well. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Next, please. And then some details showing with doors open onto the rear yard. Next. I'll give it back to you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can pick over to, actually, Abby, can you go one more slide forward? There's one slide that's slightly out of order. I'd just like to touch on. Okay. This was supposed to be early in the presentation, but this is a comparative existing and proposed elevation of the house at left with the two neighbors, and this just to show an elevation what I was speaking about before, which is the variation in conditions across the row, particularly at the top floor in terms of the window heights, window modifications, roof line. So it's just that same thing in elevation. So Abby, if we can go one slide before. I just want to speak briefly to the Commission's 2024 decision and how some of our proposals relate to that. The Commission made a conditional approval with the conditions of, well, I'll speak to them per elevation. So this is the front facade. So in their proposal, they had a slightly taller bulkhead that was didn't go all the way across, but it was much longer front to back, so it was more visible than ours. And also their entire leveled roof was raised to a much higher level, necessitating a guardrail at the front of the facade, which was visible. And so part of the Commission's conditions for that approval was to work on reducing visibility. Our roof level isn't so high, so we don't have a guardrail that's visible. And the front of the addition is much farther back, and so it's virtually not visible, as we'll see in the mock-up views. Next slide, please. Sorry, next one after that. At the rear, you can also see here that much higher roof deck there. And they were similarly proposing a similar modification of the top floor rear windows, but the other part of that proposal was to completely replace the historic rear facade with new brick, and that was basically rejected by the Commission. So we're proposing to retain the rear facade with the and just doing the modification at the top to accommodate the taller windows. And they were also, similarly, it was proposed as sort of a full new extension, rear extension, except it was different design language and dropping the windows above. Next slide, please. These are probably hard to see at this scale, but the comparative building sections. I will note that significant excavation was part of the approval last time. There is excavation still in this project. It's much more scaled back. In fact, is viewable at staff level, so that's why we haven't spoken about it, but you can see it in the section there. And there's eliminated underpinning of the neighbors at all. And the other condition of the approval was for them to step back their raised roof from the rear facade, either slope or step it back, because it was sort of coplanar. And as he explained, we have a much smaller, higher roof above the rear facade, and also it is stepped back by 1.6. Next slide, please. The roof plan just showing the comparison of the additions, the different orientation and size, have reduced visibility. Next slide, please. Okay, I'll go through the mock-up photos for the roof. Next slide. That's just a reminder of what we're looking at. Next slide. There's a sightline diagram. Next slide. So looking directly across the street at the right, there's nothing visible directly over the front facade. If you do start to move to the east, you see a little bit of the raised chimney, which is a fairly typical condition in this district and for this kind of row of houses. Next slide. Moving to the west, it's hard to see here because of the tree, but again, slight visibility of the top of the chimney. Next slide. Moving again to the east, again, seeing only the chimney here. And the next slide. So this is sort of the maximum exposure from across Waverly and across 11th. Again, you can see in the zoomed in vignette there, chimney is somewhat visible, not dissimilar to the other chimneys you see here. And then maybe the top few inches of the roof line of the addition is sort of barely discernible here. And next slide. If you go around on Waverly, there is a view towards the back. The orange, as you can see, is the mock-up just of the rear railing at the top of the rear facade. And you can see that they're adjacent to the next door neighbor's railing, which is actually taller. So those are the views. And I think that's what we have for today. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions on this one? Commissioner Zinkler?
I have two questions. First, what was the selection of the material for both the bulkhead, the stone, and the rear addition? Of why it was stone as compared to a more typical material of a brick or a metal or a stucco?
So it's going to be a limestone, and the reason we chose that is to sort of indicate a difference from the historic structure in those cases, and we prefer the aesthetic just from a design standpoint, stone to like a stucco.
And then my other question is, you have a double height window with a curve and a circle at the top that seems to be more appropriate for the church next door. And what was the basis for that?
So that was a design decision, and in our sort of a kind of like, even though we don't really love the existing extension, there's some qualities of it that we sort of appreciated in terms of sort of the interior experience of the house and how that big double height window lets in light to that stairwell. And so we wanted to sort of preserve that, but give it a new language.
Thank you.
I just add one thing about your first question, which is just an observation of mine and may not be the decision making. But if you can see in the rear photos, you can see a glimpse. There's in the backyard there is a colonnade of that appears to be. We don't know facts about it. It's obviously old. I think it comes from somewhere else. You can see a bit of it. It's a colonnade of what looks like cast iron columns with a sort of stone above. One more back, sorry, or two more. Yeah, this one at the left there. Anyway, and so I would say that like given this is a significant element that goes along the side of the rear yard, and it's going to remain, as I understand. And so it is basically it's cast iron with limestone. And I do think that the presence of this feature in the backyard, the materials chosen are going to be quite consonant with that in a way. And so for those who see it in the back, which is no one from the street, that's just a relationship that exists too.
Thank you.
Commissioner Chu,
Sorry.
and then Commissioner Jefferson.
Related to that question, I just don't think your elevation is realistic. I just want to know how you like. Can you go back to the elevation of the rear? I'm just trying to understand. So the left piece, if I look at your plan, it's actually all built out like it's one full space. In your floor plan.
Yeah.
It's just the volumetric expression. So I'm just trying to understand, what is the roof over the glass element? Is it a glass domed roof?
It's a curved glass.
Don't you need a drain between that volume and the one to the right or something? Otherwise snow, water, all that.
Yeah, so that can be managed. We've been in conversations with a fabricator for a system, and there's a solid wall there, and it would be an opportunity for drainage, the space between the domed element.
It just seems like you would actually need a physical break, a reveal to run a gutter and then a leader down or something. I just don't think it'll turn out as clean as the drawing seems to suggest. I worry about that just because that could be where things unravel.
Yeah, I think we are, working on, like, we can detail that, but it could be an internal drain in that wall, because there is a vertical wall separating the two elements. So the drain could be incorporated internal drain. It has to go through the storm line in front of the house. So, okay, yeah. That.
Commissioner Jefferson, did you have a question?
Yes. On page 32. You have the second floor, the first floor, or the piano nobile floor. It goes all the way through. And then on page 36, it seems like you have a two-story space.
Yeah, this is, there's a double height space. In
So
that.
it's only partially double height at some point, and then it becomes
No, it's fully double height. We can look back at that elevation.
so you see 36.
Yeah, I think that we can revise the drawing. That's inaccurate.
Oh, okay.
The zoomed in out the larger scale elevations. There's a double height space.
So it's a double height for all the way across.
All the way across,
Okay.
except for the stair. There's a staircase, if you see in the plan, that's in where the vaulted spaces. There's a staircase and that's bridges the two floors.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions, commissioners? Let's see if there's anybody here who wants to speak on this item. Nobody here. Let me turn to Stephen Thompson to see if we have any remote testimony.
Those wishing to testify via Zoom, please use the raise hand button, after which you'll be promoted to panelist. We ask you to unmute yourself, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be Chloe Gregoire.
Good day, Commissioners. My name is Chloe Gregoire, and I'm speaking on behalf of Village Preservation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Village Preservation has several concerns about this proposal. Regarding the rear facade, we find the original top floor windows to be a significant feature. The original dimensions of these openings should be retained as an important reminder of the historic condition of this house, despite the rest of the rear facade being significantly altered. We also find the proposed extremely large double height arch window to overwhelm the rear facade. Between its full glazing and that of the other oversized windows proposed for the facade and extension, the cumulative effect is a disconnect between historic and proposed. These substantial alterations don't relate well to the context here and should be scaled back. Finally, while we understand that the excavation work meets all staff level rules in this instance, we still find it important to emphasize the need for thorough safety precautions when conducting this work in order to ensure the stability of the building and its neighbors. Far too often, we've seen irreversible damage done to buildings in our historic districts during excavation work. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else joining via Zoom who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends approval.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to the comment?
Just very quickly, yeah. And regarding the top floor windows, as I mentioned, they will be modified slightly from their specific historic dimensions, but we think it's within, as you can see, proportions that are quite typical for a row house and are still shorter than the rest of the row. And so we think in this context, it's an appropriate small modification. I think regarding the rear addition and specifically, I guess, the arched glass part, you know, I think it's a relatively modest change from the existing condition, so I wouldn't call it, you know, overwhelming compared to that. And of course, with regard to excavation, we will be an experienced team, and we'll be working with staff on all the requirements for review and making sure that that's proper.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any final questions? So let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Goldblum, would you make a motion to close the hearing? Commissioner Chen, would you second that motion?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Mann, would you like to start this discussion?
Sure.
Maybe start from the front. You know, I do want to note that the restoration of the brownstone tail, replacement of windows, both materiality, duration. You know, is much appreciated. I think the visibility, so that's great. I really want to commend the applicant looking at the photos of the restoration of brownstone detail. They make actually quite a significant difference. The visibility from the street is quite minimal, so I don't have any issue with that. So in general, I think the rooftop addition is fine. Very minimally visible, modest. I think the limestone cladding, extent of glass is all fine, appropriate. With regards to the rear, I also think given the existing additions that are there now, this does not extend any taller. You know, it is following the existing RT. There is no visibility from the street. So in general, I can find the addition appropriate. I find the extension of the windows at the top, doors all also fine, massive. I do think there are some, you know, couple technical concerns relative to the greenhouse structure that can be looked at more closely with staff. Because water drainage, the demise of the muttons on the frontal elevation of that, a little suspect with the acute angles of glass and so forth. I think these are technical issues that at staff level. So, you know, given that really the sort of volumetric change, you know, is very modest, and visibility is very good. By this program.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen?
Likewise, yes, I'm in agreement with the comments. Obviously, as Commissioner Mann noted, the front facade is very nicely done. Minimally visible is very modest. Obviously, the only thing that stood out is probably the motif for the graphic or the story at the back, and then the motif at the top. But I can find it acceptable.
I agree. I think it is appropriate. I do share the technical concerns. Get a really good warranty on that. You're gonna need it on a day like today. Also, I think you might want to look at the issue of lot line windows and proximity to the property line of that glazing, which might force you into rather expensive, higher rated glass. But that's your problem, not ours. But you know, while I don't find it to be a particularly I find it to be a little bit of an awkward design. That's kind of not our purview. I think from a historic perspective, it is not inappropriate.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson?
Approved.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu?
Appropriate.
And Commissioner Ginsburg?
I have two reservations, although I can agree with my fellow commissioners. I find the use of the limestone sort of a little much. If they wanted to differentiate the material, some sort of metal, then I think it'd be better. And then I think that not only is it going to be pretty hard to detail without leaking, I find the vault of that, the top of that double height window a little overblown, and I would look at doing something flat. But I can go along with my fellow commissioners and approve this.
Thank you. Commissioner Mann, are you comfortable reading this with basically the comments I think that you had said about working with staff on technical concerns?
Sure. In the matter of LPC 26-06203, 230 West 11th Street, Greenwich Village Historic District, an Italianate style row house built 16 applications to replace windows, construct rooftop and rear yard additions, and alter the rear facade. I recommend approval. Finding that demolition of the existing rear yard addition will not alter or eliminate any significant architectural features. That the proposed rear yard addition will not be visible from the thoroughfare. Rear yard addition will not rise to the full height of the building, and only the western portion will project modestly beyond the adjacent additions. Therefore, the addition will not overwhelm the building or diminish the central green space. That the design and materiality of the rear yard addition featuring limestone cladding, window assembly with steel mullions and columns, metal railings, and a steel framed greenhouse structure will be in keeping with the material palette of other rear yard additions on the block and will maintain a residential scale. That the work at the upper floors of the rear facade will only be visible at oblique angles from Waverly Place. That the building is not part of a consistent road. That the building to the east has a higher rear cornice, therefore the modest raise of the top floor windows and the parapet at the rear facade will not interrupt a unified top floor fenestration pattern and will relate to the neighbor's cornice. That only limited portions of the rooftop addition will be visible from public thoroughfares at a distance and from oblique angles. That the rooftop addition will be set back from the front of the roof facades, thereby retaining a sense of the building's original massing. That the design and materiality of the rooftop addition featuring limestone cladding and black finished steel window and door assemblies will be in keeping with those aspects of other contemporary rooftop addition within the historic district, and that the proposed building will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of the building and the Greenwich Village district, and that the applicant will work with staff to resolve certain technical issues with regards to structure.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. And Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen. Aye. Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg. Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson. Aye. Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
It's 7 in favor, none opposed, the motion passed.
That's been approved.
Thank you very much.
Let's move to the next item.
All right, next item is public hearing item number 8. LPC 25-08569. Application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, block 607, lot 33, 118 West 12th Street, in Greenwich Village Historic District. This is a townhouse built sort of 1850. The application is to legalize the installation of a stoop gate without LPC permits. We'll advance the slides for you to say next slide.
Oh, okay, great. My name is Eric Sheffield. I'm the architect for this project. Our client is located at 118 West 12th Street. Advance the slide. Our project is to legalize the installation of a stoop gate. The owner has requested legalization of the iron stoop gate installed at the bottom of their front stair. The gate was custom designed and fabricated to match the style of the existing historic stair railings. The gate was installed to address the persistent and serious safety, security, hygiene, and the hygiene issues caused by people sleeping and relieving themselves on the stoop and leaving drug paraphernalia. The stoop gate has helped to alleviate the conditions and improve the security without detracting from the townhouse or streetscape. Advance. This is a map of the Greenwich Village Historic District that we're located in. We're on West 12th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. I'm sorry, 6th and 7th Avenues, closer to the corner of 6th Avenue. Advance the slide. These are images of the Sanborn map from 1897. You can see in the Sanborn map from 1897 that it was a residential neighborhood with a number of townhouses throughout the neighborhood. The next slide shows the neighborhood in transition. Oh, I'm sorry. The next Sanborn map shows the neighborhood in transition. You can see 12th Street has had a couple of major apartment buildings built on the street, changing the streetscape. I can go to the next slide. This is the 1940s tax photo, which shows the very small townhouses to the east of our townhouse here. And then the 1980s horrible tax photo that shows the apartment building that was built right next to our client's townhouse. Next slide. And these are current streetscape showing the front of our stoop from the east and west. Next slide. And these are closer versions of the showing the existing railings and fence along with the stoop gate. Next. These are close-up details of the stoop gate that were matched to the existing stairwell. Next. These are close-ups of that railing where you can see these lovely details that were used in the stoop gate. Next. And these are broader streetscape to give you a sense of this section of 12th Street. You can see the very large apartment building to the east, and then the very large apartment building to the west of our neighboring townhouse, our neighbor's townhouse. Next. These are areaway gates on the street, on West 12th Street, on that block. Next. And this is a picture of the historic district and previously approved stoop gates in the neighborhood. I'll go through these pretty quickly. These are just a variety of pictures of those stoop gates. So you have Waverly Place. Next. These are I think West 3rd and West 4th, if my eyesight was a little better. Next. And West 11th Street, Barrow Street. Next. And these are Perry Street, Minetta Street. Cute little stoops. Next. This is a supporting letter from our neighbors who lives in the townhouse next door. She's suffering the same issues and supports the stoop and appreciates the effort. She's having the same issues. Next. The community board asked if we could put a closer on the gate so the gates don't hang, swing open, stay open. Some of this finding an issue. So we were proposing to put this gate closer on the back of the gate at the bottom of the gate, so it's basically invisible. It'll be painted black. Next is a picture of the shop drawing for the gate. And next is the plan view of that same shop drawing. And I guess if we can go all the way back to the 3rd or 4th slide, it shows pictures of the front. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the stoop gate.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg?
So I have two questions. First question, this was done illegally. Can you tell me why?
Our client did it without our knowledge. We weren't hired by the client at that point. He was very concerned about his family. They've had a bunch of run-ins with people who were on drugs and had left needles and things on their stoop.
Did he realize he was in a landmark built district? And
I think he was kind of oblivious to it and was just trying to get some distance from the drug use going on in front of him. So, once he got the letter, he immediately hired us to try to resolve it.
Second question, on the plan, you show nothing of how, when this gate is opened, what is the clearance between it and either a tree pit or the curb?
I think there's a broader picture of the front we can go to. We can go back. You can go towards the front. Here, actually, on that one, you can go down one. Another one. Actually, you can go backwards. If you can go the other direction. One more. One more. Here, so there's no tree pits in front of us. It's a pretty broad sidewalk there. I don't know what it is exactly, but again, to your concern, which was the community board's concern, they don't want these gates staying open. I think there's a habit for
My concern is someone's walking or in a wheelchair going down the street, the gate opens. Is there enough space for them to get by with the gate in an open position?
A if you're coming down the gate, you'll obviously see somebody there. The gate will swing closed automatically because of that closer, so that shouldn't be an issue, I don't think, but I don't know the exact dimension.
Any other questions? Commissioner Jefferson?
Does both leads open out or just one?
One has a stationary piece that holds it stiff while the other one opens.
Opens up.
And so there's a primary and a secondary part of it.
Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, let's move to public testimony, noting that there's nobody in the room to speak on this item. Let's turn it over to Senator Thompson to see if we have any remote testimony.
Those joined via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function, after which will be promoted to panelists. And we ask you to unmute yourself and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. First speaker will be John Graham.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. The Victorian Society has testified against stoop gates at many buildings in historic districts, and we do not support this stoop gate, installed in violation and without a permit. Stoop gates disrupt the significant transitional space between public sidewalks and private buildings. Stoops have long served as a liminal area where public and private spheres intersect. The gates create a barrier that alters the character of the streetscape. In this case, there's already a large sidewalk approximately 10 feet wide that provides ample public space without encroaching upon the privacy of the building. It is our opinion that a stoop gate creates an unnecessary and redundant barrier that negates the historic purpose of stoops. It's also our opinion that stoop gates detract from the appearance of historic streetscapes and alter the traditional role of the stoop as a semi-private zone separating the private building from the public street. To the extent this or any stoop gate solves a problem, how is it fair for that problem to be transferred to other nearby houses that don't have gates? We once again urge the Commission to reject this proposal and protect the traditional role of stoops in New York City streetscapes. Thank you, Commissioners.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Brooklyn Community Board 2 recommends approval on the condition that the stoop gate is fitted with an automatic closure mechanism.
Thanks. Did you want to respond to the comment?
Our neighbor wrote that letter in support of the neighboring townhouse wrote a letter in support. They're going through the same issue, and you know, there's sort of a hygiene issue to it and a safety issue with the drug paraphernalia and people are leaving themselves on the stoops. So she's very much in support of our application. And as you can see, it's there's a lot of apartment buildings on this street, so she's really the only townhouse near us on our side of the street. So
great, thank you. Commissioners, do we have any final questions? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
moved.
Commissioner Mann, would you second that?
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Jefferson, would you like to start this conversation?
Of course I can. But what's fascinating to me about it is the uniqueness of this metal work. Really beautifully done and a good job. And handsome thing.
Oh, yes, appropriate.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Appropriate.
Commissioner Mann,
Appropriate.
and Commissioner Chen, and Commissioner Goldblum.
Whatever everyone else said. I should.
Commissioner Jefferson, would you like to read the motion?
Go.
What question? In the matter of LPC -25 08569 in West Washington. Application is legalized the stoop gate. Landmark Preservation Commission. I note that the building style scale pertaining to the special architectural and historical heritage is historic. I have a kind of finding the debated attached to historic value work. Only a few connection points that the building location would be busy commercial thoroughfares has led to trespassing issues with safety concerns. But the streetscape features a variety of gateways and entrances, entrance conditions, including other gates and fences. Therefore, the presence of a street gate has not diminished the relationship this building to other buildings on the block, or the relationship of the street to the sidewalk. That the design and height of the black finished metal gate matches the design of the existing decorative street railing and the height of the railing where they intersect. And that the installation does not detract from the special historic and architectural character of the building, the streetscape, where we village historic districts.
Thank you. Commissioner Chin, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you.
Jim Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen. Aye. Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg. Aye. Commissioner Goldberg is abstaining. Commissioner Jefferson. Aye. Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
The 6 in favor and none opposed, the motion passed.
That's been approved.
Thank you.
And now move to our public meeting agenda. Starting the public meeting, item number 1, LPC 26-01. Application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Brooklyn, block 5181, lot 465 East 17th Street in the Dennis Park Historic District. This is a colonial revival style house designed by Arlington E. Bishop and built in 1991. The application is constructed on a porch. This was after the public hearing on September 30th, 2025, and no action was taken at that time. The applicant will present the revisions to the proposal after the open proceedings.
Commissioner Goldberg, would you make a motion to open proceedings?
So move.
Commissioner Chen, would you second that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meetings are
On devotion on the applicant. And this is the second hearing. So this is a early 1900s single family house, which lost its original porch. In the lower left on that slide, you'll see a photograph from 1933, which was pretty much the original house. On the right side, the lower right side, is what it became in 1933, within a month of the picture on the left, actually. You can see, obviously, there was a lot of work done on the roof. And the whole front porch roof came off. And it's been like that. That's pretty close to what it is. Well, the one on the right is current. That's how it looks now. The one in the middle is the tax lot photo from the 40s, which pretty much matches the one on the right. So, next slide. This is a photograph of the current situation, and a couple of houses around the lower parts. The whole neighborhood is fairly large, single family wood frame houses. Almost all of them had porches, covered porches on front. They all originally. So next slide. This is the existing. On the bottom is the elevation, on the top is front part of the front porch. Next slide. On the left is the first proposal, on the right is the second proposal. One of the drivers of the design of this is the zoning resolution, which does not allow a covered porch on the front or anywhere else. And the only way we could get something resembling it was to call it a balcony, which is limited to 50% of the size of the front facade. So that's one of the major constraints here. And If you go to the next slide, it's a larger scale. Sorry, this is this is the second floor. The floor plan on the top is the second floor. The elevation is the same. The changes from the original are obviously the balcony or roof, and the inner bay windows on the right and left bays on the second floor are becoming doors. Those are kind of the big changes. So next slide. This is a larger scale picture of the front elevation. And go back 2 slides, I guess. The differences between the first proposal on the left and the current proposal on the right were partly to address one concern was that last proposal felt too vertical for a couple of commissioners. And so we're trying to address that on the right. Stairs have gotten wider, which also matches the house pretty much directly across the street from this. And the column configuration obviously changed. And in the new proposal, the second floor newels don't line up necessarily with the columns, which we did in the first proposal. So let's go ahead 2 slides. This is the larger version. The next slide. These are the side elevations. Again, those really haven't changed since first time. Next slide. Same thing. It's existing on the top, and again, the existing part was not original. And the proposed on the bottom. Next slide. These are closer details. Left side is existing, the middle is first proposal, the right is the second proposal. Slide. It's the details of the doors and how that works. The idea here was to keep all of the trim on the outside and work from within. So, next slide. These are neighbors which have similar configurations. First one is actually right across the street, and that's the one where we have stairs in front. The middle one is just to the left of the top one, also right across the street. And the bottom one is on the next street midline. All of them have spaces that either are accessible on the second floor in front of the house or look like they are. So the next slide. These are other residents from around the neighborhood. The bottom ones are from Prospect Park South, which is very similar but not the same district. And the top ones are from Tibbetts. Next slide. These are a lot of fun. These are the drawings from 1953 when the changes were made. I think we can flip through this pretty quickly. You just see dashed in there. Oops. On this one, you can just see the roof dashed in there. And this is very close to what's there now. Yeah, let's just go through these. I think there's 6 of them. That's the first floor. That's the second floor.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. When I look at the elevations, the previous design showed the brick as all red brick. The current design has much less brick, but the brick that's there isn't rendered. What color is the brick going to be?
We haven't chosen it yet. But it could be red, it could be red. There's associated with this some work in the, on the garage in the back, which has concrete block, it's built out of concrete blocks. So another option is to make the bricks closer to that color. I was assuming that was something that could be done at the staff level. Thank you.
Commissioner Jefferson?
On your drawing, L-6, the doors on the balcony, why are they painted white?
That was to distinguish, they're not necessarily painted white. That was to distinguish new work from existing work. So the white, all of the white work is existing, is new, sorry. And colors again are going to be worked out at the staff level, and they would be, the doors would be painted the same colors as
No,
windows.
so the doors wouldn't be as dominant on the
Exactly.
facade as you have.
That's exactly.
Any other questions? Commissioner Mayo?
I remember this discussion of the covered porch having to be accessible or something like that. Is that can you please remind me though, is that the genesis of this project? Do you need to legalize this covered porch or something?
No, the genesis of the project is that well, first of all, the existing brick porch is falling apart.
I see.
So that's a problem.
Okay.
And they would love to have the covered, a covered roof there. But zoning won't let that happen, and this is as covered as it can be.
Any other questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and start discussing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Chu, would you like to begin this discussion?
I think I remember this from the last time that came in. I do recall some of our discussion. I do think that what's being proposed is an improvement. I see that it is more similar to the historic condition with the double columns spacing aside. This is a different, a mass that's slightly different. I think this is appropriate. I just want the applicant to work with staff a little on the details. I don't. The little picket between the double columns I don't buy, so that's gonna have to get too tight there. So, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, and then work with staff on the materiality and color of the finish below the porch is raised by.
And Commissioner Ginsburg?
I agree with Commissioner Chu, and I would just add for the applicant in the future and for staff, it would be good to show all the colors to the commissioners, so we can truly understand what it's gonna look like. But I can find this appropriate with your working with staff on working out the colors.
And Commissioner May?
I concur with Commissioner Chu.
Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, it's much improved. I think the proportion is much nicer. So when the two heads are better.
And Commissioner Gopal?
Great.
Commissioner Jefferson?
Much improved. I think they should take a look at these two doors, these screen doors, and see maybe they could just, half of it could be screened another way of making this facade. Let the window and the door harmonize with each other.
The balcony.
The balcony door and the windows harmonize with each other.
Are you comfortable reading?
Sure.
And then, you can just work with detail.
Right. In the case of LPC 2601458465 East 17th Street, Fitness Park Historic District, a colonial revival style house designed by R.D. Sherman, built in 1901. Application was to construct a front porch and portico. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Ditmas Park Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the house has been modified throughout its history with alterations to the facade, roof, and porch, and the proposed work will be in keeping with the history of the change. That wider porches with rooftop terrace access exist at other houses in the historic district. Therefore, the presence of a partial width two-story porch will not call undue attention to itself or the house. That the proposed porch will match the projection of the original porch and its centered placement will harmonize with the symmetrical composition of the facade. That the design of the proposed porch featuring white painted wooden paired columns, profile trim, simple railings, and brick base will be consistent with the design materials and finishes of the house, as well as historic porches found on the other houses in this historic district. That the modification of the window openings at the second floor will, to allow access to the porch, will only remove a limited amount of plain wood cladding and shingles and will be partially obscured by the porch and its railing. And the proposed multi-light doors will harmonize with the building's overall fenestration in terms of materials, finish, configuration. That the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural or historic character of the building or the Ditmas Park Historic District. And that the applicant will work with staff on the detailing and finishes of the proposal, as well as the railing detail at the porch level between the columns, and study the door details at the balcony at the second level. Staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. And Mark, can you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen.
Aye.
Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
7 in favor and none opposed, the motion passed.
That's been approved. Please continue to work with staff.
Right, we'll now move to the last two items of the day. This will be under one presentation. Properties under one ownership, but no lots being subdivided. I'll go ahead and read both. Public meeting item number 2, LPC 24-0976. An application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Queens, Block 10-299, Lot 48, 112, 24, 177th Street in the Tennessee Park Historic District, a vacant lot. The application is to construct a new building. And then public meeting item number 3, LPC 24-09715, 112, 28, 177th Street, Tennessee Park Historic District. Also a vacant lot, and again, application is to construct a new. This was last presented at the public hearing of March 25th, 2025. No action was taken at that time. The applicants will present revisions to the proposal after the.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson, would you make a motion to open the proceedings?
So moved.
Commissioner Chu, would you second that motion? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, proceedings are open and the applicant may begin.
Okay, commissioners, the applicant has entered the hearing via Zoom. Seba, you now have control of the presentation. You can advance the slides using your arrow keys or your mouse. Please state your name for the record and you may begin.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Saba Binamara. I'm presenting the revised landmark submission for 112, 24, and 28 177th Street in Addis Lake Park Historic District. So this is our second submission, and the design has been revised to directly address the commission's previous comment and better align with the design with the historic character of the neighborhood. So this slide here shows the boundaries of the historic district and the location of the two subject lots within Addis Lake Parks. Here we try to highlight typical houses in Addis Lake Parks, which is characterized by steep roof, pitches, brick siding, and stucco materials, varied massing, dormers, traditional windows, and landscape with limited paving. So here we have some close-up photo shows the existing streetscape on 177th Street with detached houses, traditional materials, and consistent setbacks. So here we have our site condition, which is 2 vacant lots. So this slide summarizes the previous submission comment. The commission requests several changes, including increasing variation between the two houses to avoid boxy massing and near identical houses design, lowering the basement, steepening the roof lines, improving the material articulation, and reducing the front yard paving. So here, before we start our updated proposal, we try to inspire from these two houses located within the neighborhood were used as reference. They reflect the traditional scale, roof form, and materials choices that informed our proposed design. So here we have our updated site plan with the previous one. So as we can see here, we reduced the paving, improved the landscaping, and we adjust the site layout where we introduce the setback for this house in order to reduce the overall bulk and overall massing and include a clear entrance volume to add more depth and more three-dimensionality for this house here. Sorry. So here, always looking at 177th Street, here, as we can see, the revised proposal integrate more naturally between the adjacent houses. The updated massing, roof, and material variation reduce visual bulk and reinforce the streetscape character. So here we're proposing a paired curb cut in order to minimize the impact on the street parking. So as a result for this paired curb cut, we have this two adjacent driveways where we try to minimize the paving area by creating a grass center strip between concrete strip, reinforcing the historic design. So this approach was generally supported by the Commission during the previous hearing and remained part of this revised design. Here we have some typical houses with the same type of driveway. This is our proposed elevation. So one of the main comments from the previous LPC was that the houses looks too similar and too boxy. So in order to avoid this, we maintained the left house two-door style, and we redesigned the second house in a medieval revival style. So with the varied massing to create a clearer distinction. So here, for the previous design, the roof was too shallow. The revised one, we steepened the roof lines. Here. For the massing, we tried to break up the massing for the first house, the one on the right side, we tried to reduce it by creating entrance volume, which add more depth and more three-dimensionality, pitched roof, and creation of dormers. For this house here, we tried to reduce the massing by creating a pitched roof line and dormers, and also we create a setback in the back to reduce the overall bulk. For the porch and the entrance, it was large and the basement was too elevated. So now with the revised design, the porch has been lowered and resized to better fit the neighborhood character. For the materials, we have cellar and first floor use brick veneer red color, second floor with white horizontal wood siding, the roof with gray shingles, pillow windows, double hang, colonial style with cedar seal, entrance volume with limestone, iron rail, simple design, stair treads, and riser with bricks. For this house here, we have cellar and first floor use brick veneer red color, traditional three-coat stucco beige color at second floor, royal shingles color, brown color, pillow windows, double hang colonial style with cedar seals, entrance with wood gabled awning, limestone detailing, the doors round and the corners. For the railing, iron rail simple design, the stair treads and riser with brick. This is our side elevation and the rear one. So for the rear and side elevation, we follow the same design and materials. This is the rear elevations. So this is our floor plan. So each house is two-story, one family house with kitchen, living room in the first floor and bedroom and bathroom in the second floor. So this is floor plan for the house number 124, and this is for the second house. Then we have here our building section. Then here, this is the front rendering view, show how the revised design reduce the overall bulk and add more three-dimensionality. The revised roof form, entrance volume, and materials change help the two houses to read as distinct while remaining compatible with the historic neighborhood. So this is the rear rendering where we highlight the introduced setback, which help to break down the massing and reduce the overall scale of the building. Some details from some front wall details show how we created variation in depth through the intersection of different materials. So this section for the first house, and this is for the second house. Here we have some wall details. So we have exterior wall veneer and exterior siding wall and exterior stucco wall. Here we have some windows detail with brick veneer wall, with siding wall, and with stucco wall. Yeah, so in closing, this revised proposal directly responds to the Commission prior comment and reflects a careful effort to design the two houses that are compatible with the character of the Addisley Park Historic District. We believe this revision addressed the previous concerns and respectfully fit the neighborhood context. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Okay. If you don't have any, please let's go ahead and start the discussion. Commissioner Goldblum, would you like to start the discussion?
You know, it's really gratifying sometimes, this job. The difference between version 1 and version 2 is literally night and day. And I think that this is a quite appropriate set of proposals. I think that the applicants have done a fantastic job looking at the neighborhood and learning from the neighborhood to make two new charming little houses that after a couple of years will probably make the other neighbors who have not as nice houses jealous. I think they're very, very typical of the district. I mean, it's not, AIA awards are not going to be handed out here, but I think it's really a good example of retiring contextual design, where the applicant has chosen to do something in a historicist manner and has done so with sensitivity to the way the neighborhood develops. I think that both houses would benefit from additional focus with staff on details. I noticed the eaves of the Tudor house looked like they needed a point, no gutter. I'm sure that was not intended. I think that the applicant can look with the staff at window colors for the colonial version that I don't think were necessarily black. I think that the back of the Tudor version with that kind of setback piece or set down piece, the roof angle looks particularly peculiar to me, like they kind of varied the roof angle in some way. But, I think that, while, one can wish for a more developed set of elevations that are visible from the street on the sides, I don't think that that's necessarily typical of how these houses were built. I think if you look at them, they kind of turned into vanilla the minute you turn the corner. And I think that that's appropriate for the district. I think that the site improvements, the use of the grass strips, and the increase of green in the front will be welcomed and is very much typical of this kind of district. I think the lowering of the height of the porch is spot on. Again, I mean, the houses look like they were churned out in the 40s like the rest of them, and I think that does what it's supposed to do.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson.
I think that's appropriate.
Commissioner Chu,
Appropriate.
Commissioner
Appropriate.
Ginsburg, Commissioner May,
Appropriate.
and Commissioner Chen.
Really, I would just suggest that the applicant use a better rendering software.
Right, so I guess we're ready to, motion.
Okay.
And if you'd like, I'll do the second.
I'm gonna say. Regarding 112-24 177th Street in the Eversley Park Historic District, the applications to construct the building. I note that houses in this historic district reflect popular architectural styles of the early 20th century, including English Tudor Revival, Medieval Revival, Colonial Revival, arts and crafts styles, which favor the style in the district, with the favorite style in the district being the Tudor Revival, and featuring asymmetrical facades of stucco and brick decorated with half timbering, steeply pitched overlapping gables, and that synthetic siding, including aluminum, vinyl, or faux stone, have been installed at many houses over time prior to designation. I recommend approval, finding that the construction of the new building on the vacant lot will enhance the character of the historic district and providing continuity within the block. That existing streetscape consists of a range of 1.5 to 2-story over basement freestanding houses, many of which feature elements of the medieval revival style. Therefore, proposed building stylistic references will be compatible with the streetscape. That the overall height and massing of the house is consistent with that of adjacent houses on the block within the historic district. That the steeply pitched roof profile, shed dormers, and layered facade composition is reflective of the medieval revival style freestanding residences throughout the district. That the material palette of red brick, white painted wood clapboards, stone accents will harmonize with the materials and finishes of historic and contemporary buildings found within this historic district. That most of the houses on the block feature replacement roofing materials, and that the proposed gray asphalt shingle roof will blend with the materials of the streetscape while recalling historic roofing materials in terms of profiles and finish. That the proposed punch openings featuring single paired and tripartite multi-light double hung windows, slightly projecting gable fronts, will be evocative of medieval revival style and compatible with the character of the streetscape. That the metalwork of the porches is typical of the level of detailing of early 20th century ironwork, and that the proposed site work, including the establishment of a sidewalk matching the width of others in the district, shared curb cut, and driveways with the planted center strip, will further integrate the development of the site with the historic district. And the applicant will work with the staff to develop the details and refine colors and other aesthetic choices.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson, would you second that motion?
So second.
Thank you. And Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen. Aye. Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg. Aye. Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, that one's been approved, and let me read the next one. In the matter of LPC 24-09715 112-28 177th Street at Adsley Park Historic District. I note that the houses in this historic district reflect popular architectural styles of the early part of the 20th century, including English Tudor Revival, Medieval Revival, Colonial Revival, and arts and crafts, with the favored style in the district being Tudor Revival, and featuring asymmetrical facades of stucco and brick decorated with half timbering and steeply pitched overlapping roofs, and that synthetic siding, including vinyl, aluminum, or faux stone, has been installed at many houses over time prior to designation. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the construction of a new building on this vacant lot will enhance the character of the historic district by providing continuity within the lot. That the existing streetscape, consisting of a range of 1.5 to 2-story over basement freestanding houses, many of which feature elements of the Tudor Revival style. Therefore, the proposed building stylistic references will be compatible with the street. That the overall height and massing of the house is consistent with that of adjacent houses on the block and within the historic district. That the varied roof profile and facade composition is reflective of Tudor Revival style freestanding residences throughout the district. That the material palette of red brick, tan cementitious stucco, brown painted wood half timbering, and stone accents will harmonize with the materials and finishes of historic contemporary buildings found throughout this historic district. That most of the houses on the block feature replacement roofing material and the proposed brown asphalt shingle roof will blend with materials of the streetscape while recalling historic roofing materials in terms of profiles and finish. That the punched openings featuring single, paired, and tripartite multi-light double hung windows and slightly projecting gable fronts will be evocative of the Tudor Revival style and compatible with the character of the streetscape. That the metalwork of the porches is typical of the level of detailing of early 20th century ironwork, and that the proposed site work, including the establishment of a sidewalk matching the width of others in the district, shared curb cut and driveways with a planted center strip, will further integrate the development of the site with the historic district. I also recommend that the details of the exterior finish of the house continue to be developed and refined in consultation with staff. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you second that motion?
Second,
Thank you. Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen. Aye. Commissioner Chu. Aye. Commissioner Ginsburg. Aye. Commissioner Goldblum. Aye. Commissioner Jefferson. Aye. Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
The 7 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, it's been approved. Please, with modifications, please continue to work with staff on the details. Okay. That concludes our public hearing and public meeting for January 27th, 2026. Thank you all for your participation, and we will see everybody next Tuesday, February 3rd, for our next public hearing and public meeting.